Good morning. Well, I hope this finds everybody alive and well this morning. It's about 17 minutes to 3 here. So that means somewhere around the world they're going to be somebody woke up. And if they're not woke up, they should be woke up. Let me see if I can get me some eye drops in here before the big show. The show must go on. Oh, muy better, muy better. Don't want my baby blue eyes to be red and bloodshot. Well, I hope everybody can hear my voice. Well, we'll just run here for a while to see how it turns out. I'm hoping you come to visit Old Mack this morning. I got to share with you the thrills of living through a storm. I bet you Frogzilla, he's probably awake this morning. I sure just all twisted up. Yeah, that makes it a little bit better. Looked like I was old Friar Mac. Here I am. There you are. We have a little bit of a storm coming in, still out there. Let's see who's going to be the first person to show up. Well, for those that haven't joined us yet, I will tell you that we had quite a bit of storm here, quite a pretty severe storm until, I think the major portion of it passed us before midnight last night. Last time I looked, it was heading to Georgia. And I'm sure it got through Georgia fine. Because Alabama and Mississippi wore that storm out. We're alive. I haven't been outside to see what it looks like out there. I could turn this on. Let me see. I can see what it's doing outside. Well, I talked to my sister late last night in Washington, and everybody was a little bit concerned about Old Mack. And I thought I would do the little morning video here to let everybody know that we survived a storm outbreak. Now we had about a week warning about it coming across. There was people, I guess, when I went to bed last night, there had already been like 27 killed from the outbreak. And Alabama wasn't spared either. We have damages. Well, we'll get damage reports today. I thought I'd see if there's any. See how if there was anything on the news. This is my only source of news here. Let me check my see how my cat made it during the storm last night. My cat looked like she's living fine. It's a tomcat. There's my come on, camera, focus. There's my, let me turn this light off up here. There is my Miss Piggy out in the barn. You can't even hardly see it, can you? These are digital cameras are sometimes hard to focus. That's about as good as I'm going to get off the face of the camera. But you can see nothing blowed away. The cat's bed's all tore up a little bit. The cat had a rough ride. Let's see if I can say that. The cat had a rough ride last night. Anyhow, that's what's going on in my neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? I guess I can play a game of Candy Crush. Voila. Wake up, Toga. Where are you at this morning? I gotta hang all my cables up here, make sure I don't get my knee hung in it and pull my phone off. Yeah, there'll be reports coming in from all over the area, I'm sure, this morning. It's always a dreadful thing to wake up in the morning. It's not quite 3 o'clock here yet, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. But it's always dreadful after a storm to wake up and find out how many of your neighbors did or didn't make it. I got a lot of calls yesterday or last night. My relatives, they saw that we were in the storm area. And so they started making calls. Find out how we were doing. But unfortunately, I'll make you uncomfortable. Hello, you was number one. Well, Robin, we just given a morning report on what is up with the weather. We had a kind of a tornadic outbreak, supercell. Hey, Dying Breed Media had an outbreak of storms scattered all from Louisiana up into Kentucky and Ohio. But I don't do the politic thing. It's not going to affect me one way or the other. I don't intend to buy a new car or a new Harley. See, when you're living on borrowed time, you never let those little issues be an issue. Hey, Dave. Yeah, my sisters kind of inspired me to get on here this morning because they were concerned from what they were seeing. Well, there's damage. I'll show you here. There was damage in the area. See, our storm has been for like 2 days. Oh, I know. I couldn't even answer the phone. I tried to call my sister multiple times. Couldn't get through. It would ring, and then it wouldn't, and then it would go on hold, or it would do something other. It would turn off right in the middle of the ring. But the wind, of course, probably blowing 100 miles per hour. It was a windy situation. Yeah, that's my neighbor. My neighbor. This is my neighbor's house. Let me show you this right here. This is over on. When I showed you the first airport I ever flew out of when I was 14 years old. That house is right there, just before you get to the airport, Campbell Field. That's probably 3 miles from my house. You can see the tops of the trees. You can see the tops of the trees blowed out. And so that would show you there was some upper winds blowing. Anyhow, things like that's going to happen. Well, Rob B, he just was in a big storm over there. Over in his part of Australia, they got a lot of flooding. We have flooding going on here. Everything upstream will be coming by here this afternoon. I have a creek down here. If I walk Well, if I go a quarter of a mile that way, at the edge of the property line over there, if I go that way a quarter of a mile, there's a creek called Sullivan Creek. I cross it every once in a while on my motorcycle. And that creek, we have seen that creek within 400 feet of my back door. That creek over there would be 60 foot deep, 60 foot deep, maybe 75 in, at times, but within 400 feet of my back door, a mile across. So we do know a little bit about flooding because we get them here. When my wife had cancer and she had to have her breast removed, and I took her to the hospital, and Angelique was here all by herself. And so I left up there at midnight from the hospital. They just did the surgery thing. And I drove home. Oh my gosh, the river is up. Everything is flooded. I had to wade water to get into my house. And I live on the side of a damn hill. I got pictures of it. I got pictures of the flood that was in my backyard. From my back door, my steps here where I go down sometimes, all the way across the bamboo, for at least 300-400 feet past the bamboo was all the water. It dropped 24 inches of rain. See what happened? A hurricane stalled it, and it just, the outer bands just kept just flowing and flowing, and it dropped 24 inches of rain. Well, I mean, the water's got to go somewhere. Hey, now look, I'm not whining and complaining. I don't want people to come to my channel because I'm sitting here whining and complaining. I ain't whining and complaining about nothing. I'm just telling you guys how it was. Well, I wish your wife well, Robin. We have seen so much, things happen beyond our control. I've been a control freak all my life. I used to run a crew when I was out with the missile guys, and we run that thing like an iron fist. They gave us 3 o'clock. When I'll tell you in a minute, it's got to blow its horn one more time. Hey, Flip Elliott. I'm just trying to assure people all is well in my part of Alabama. When I went out with my first crew, they gave me a crew, and we went out and we went to Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana. And you have to do a 1-year assignment, and they gave us, for us to complete, to put one whole missile in the ground from the time that we got there. They gave us 30 days to complete that missile. Now, the hole was already dug. All we had to do is put the steel liner in, all the hardware, 6 miles of wire, and the bird had to go in the hole. Put the lid on it, shut the lid. The door on the top, 780,000 pounds. 780,000 pounds. That's the weight of a 747. A fueled up 747 is about 750,000 pounds. And that's how much that door weighed. They gave us 30 days. Old Mack was a slave driver. When I got my crew down to, they took us down to, that was Wing 1 in Montana. When we made it down at the end in Wing 4, we were doing the holes in 14 days. We would do a complete missile delivery in 14 days. But our crew did them in 12 days with 0 defect. That means when the inspector general, they came out and they did the stuff from the Pentagon, they didn't find any defects in our hole. And so we would get two, Robin, you being a union member, we would get 2 hum days every month. Old Mack got us 2 hum days. They did all the work. I wasn't allowed to do work. What I'm saying is, I was such a friggin' slave driver. Them guys loved working. I had electrician crew. I had like 15 people in the electrician crew. International electrical, international, what is it? International Brotherhood of Electricians, I think it is, something like that. And oh my God, them boys would lay 6 miles of wire and we'd do a smoke test on it. My job was to do a smoke test. We'd go out there, hook all the equipment up, turn some current into it. If the wires didn't burn up, we had a go condition. So that's how I've always run my life that way. It gives you satisfaction of I've completed something successfully. And that's how we've always done our life that very way, is strive to be as good as you can be. And if you don't believe me, ask Angelique. she is being as good as she can be. Well, I'm on the air. I can't tell you no more than that. The internet. Oh, if I'm away? Oh, I could probably look at myself on the phone, and I could tell whether or not I'm on or off. I can do that, and I'll turn the volume down. I'll go over there now. I can't go by what I'm seeing on the screen because this camera keeps me live on the screen no matter where it's going. But I can go and look on my phone and see if I've got a signal going out to the internet. Let me turn this volume off down here. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Here we go. We're almost there. Y'all hang with me. Let me go over here to live. Whoa. Oh, I didn't give it a name, did I? We're not riding a motorcycle today. Well, I know I'm live. It looks like I'm live. Yeah, it looks like I've. Hello, let me move my hand here. Am I frozen up? Hell, I think I'm frozen up. No wonder nobody can speak to me. Well, the storm is still raging out there, so maybe I got on a little bit too early. God dang. It hasn't went off the air yet. Let me go down there and see. No, it shows I've got internet. Well, why is it not moving here? Oh, now we got it moving. Oh my God, that's crazy, man. Wait. Oh my God, that's crazy, man. Get rid of that noisy son of a bitch. Damn. Okay, so uncomfortable. If you can't see me, I'm seeing myself on my own phone, and it has to go out of here, go through T-Mobile, and come back over on AT&T. So I'm working on my end. That was just a little feedback from the microphone. It'll cure itself. Can't let little things bother you. Oh, you said I'm not frozen, but the reason I was frozen on the screen here, I hadn't turned it on yet. I just brought the live thing up, and I was under the mistaken thought that I was frozen up. Well, Flip, let me see. Did I see you at the Forgotten Angel? Was that the other Flip? I don't remember. I believe I saw you out riding. I know I watched your video up there riding, and up there you went to the garage, and it was closed. That the Blue Mule. Uh, I loved my life. I'm gonna tell you how good my life was. When I was with the missile crew, we had hundreds of people. You had the International Brotherhood of Electricians, you had the Teamsters, you had the Laboring Union, you had the Pipe Fitters Union. What else we had? Oh, we had the operating engineers. Our operating engineers ran all the petty bones, the petty bone crane. The operating engineers control all the welders were under the operating engineers, and we had a wonderful crew of people. Up on my last when I took the last wing, that was wing 4. Um, we were down in Sedalia, Missouri. We had to put in 150 ICBMs, Minuteman threes, the latest, latest and the greatest had to go into Missouri, and you would be assigned a 1 year assignment. They had to fly your family to see you. We lived in a period of time, it was called the Cold War with the Soviet Union. Now, for some of us, the war never ended with the Soviet Union, but we had to go out for a year, and we would take our family, they would fly our wife in. It's called rotation. I had a better name for it, you know. They would set us up at a nice place, and we'd meet and have our conjugal visit. Well, one year my wife brought my sister down and my little baby girl. My little girl was 5 years old, maybe 4 years old. She wasn't very old. And the first night she was in Missouri, I sensed there was somebody in the room. I could feel like the presence in the room. And when I opened my eyes, my little girl was standing right beside the bed, and her face was just an inch away from her little lips said, "Daddy, the sky is on fire." I go, "What?" "The sky is on fire." I go, "What do you mean the sky's on fire?" And then all of a sudden the whole room lit up. And she had never seen lightning. She was born in Washington and never seen lightning never had she ever seen lightning. So we went to the living room and opened the big curtains back so we could watch this dazzling array of lightning strikes all over. And she was quite satisfied with that answer, and she's never been afraid of a storm since then. She she understood what the lightning was. I explained to her in such a way that she no longer was afraid. Minuteman 3, up there where American Outlaw lives, he lives in Bismarck, but we had multiple crews in North Dakota. Minot was the base of operation. Minots were, we call, Minot was for that wing. Yeah, that was base control, base command. When I was at Maelstrom, our base command was in Lewistown, Montana. And when I was in Missouri, our base was Sedalia, Missouri. See, in 1978, early 1979, they took us into auditorium at Whiteman Air Force Base, and they explained, they sent us a video from the Russians. And the Russians showed us 64 targets they had targeted with SS-19s. That's an intercontinental ballistic missile, the Soviet big boy. And they was going to be delivering these little nuggets of love from Moscow, 1 million tons of love per hit. And where we lived in Sedalia was #1 target in America. You say, why in the hell would they target Sedalia, Missouri? What the hell are they in Missouri that the Russians would put in 300 SS-19s? 300 was scheduled for the town of Sedalia, the surrounding area of Sedalia. And so the narrator of the video from Russia, of course, explained to us that the jet stream comes right down through and goes up through St. Louis and goes out into the ocean in New Jersey. It makes a dip. They put in 300 SS-19s. They're heavy plutonium yield. The radiation is really, these are bad boys. And each of the SS-19s were scheduled to go off at 2,000 feet above the city of Sedalia, or the surrounding area of Sedalia. The temperature at 2,000 feet above Sedalia was going to be 10,000 degrees. Not 1,000 degrees. I don't know how many degrees Celsius, but it would be 10,000 degrees. Steel will melt at 2,000. Most all your good steels will melt anywhere from 19 to 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. And so up there at 2,000 feet, the air temperature was going to be 10,000 degrees. That volume of heat would pull in such a vacuum, it suck in to go up to bring cold air into this big ball of energy. That would go on to the jet stream. Now with HARP, Robin mentioned a HARP over there. The HARP, we've altered and moved the jet stream around. We moved the jet stream with HARP. That's a matter of fact. That's something nobody wants to hear about. That's some more of that stuff we have to eliminate because it's just a theory. But anyhow, so you got this massive ball of 30 mile of radiation. Hops in the jet stream. In 7 days, there'll be 30 million dead on the East Coast in 30 days from radiation, not from the blast. We're all going to die where I'm at there in Sedalia. We're going to die like a rat, just the smoke and the puff and just be, for a moment, you'd be able to see my skeleton there just before I dissolved. But 30 days later, 7 days later, 30 million would be dead on the East Coast. Now, here's what happens in a modern society. You kill 30 million people, it takes 60 million to bury them. Now you've got 90 million of your population tied up in burials, and then you got another 30 million mourning and unable to do anything. They're walking around like zombies because they've lost their mama and their daddy and grandpa and their brothers and sisters and their aunts and uncles and everything around. So them people that wants to pussyfoot around and make Mr. Putin some kind of a modern day wonderful president of his people that is doing the best for his people he can possibly do. Old Mac don't buy none of that. They don't buy any of that stuff because I'm gonna tell you what, his his partners in crime back in the 50s, when little old Mac was a little boy in school, they told us to get under the desk and it would protect us from the nuclear radiation. And we would shiver and we worried about dying. All them for 10 years there, 10, 20 years there, we was going to die any minute, you know. Them and Marushkas are going to set the big one loose on us. It didn't happen, but we lived under the fear of that. Not only did we live under the fear, but the young boys in Australia, young boys and girls in Australia, they didn't do any much better off than we did because they knew if the U.S. was ever hit with 2,000 or 3,000 missiles, all that radiation in due time would be in Australia. It was a pretty, and if you want to see the bleakness of it, there's a movie called On the Beach. It's a 1969 movie. Might have been 59, 1959, maybe 1960, somewhere. On the Beach. Look it up. It's a black and white movie. And it's about Australian people living in Australia. The world had pretty well had been killed off by American and Russian aggression with the Cold War, and it come to a head and people was dying everywhere. They sent a submarine from Australia off the coast of San Francisco. Everybody was dead. And then the people there in Australia sat and waited. The government of Australia gave them a cyanide pill. And they all waited for the moment to bite onto the pill so they wouldn't have to suffer the agony of having blood coming out of your pores and having rotted flesh and all that kind of stuff, and they could bite the pill. And no, it's called On the Beach. The Day After is it's another good movie. On the Beach, you get a chance, look up On the Beach. It's really well done. It's like I say, the submarine comes from Australia, and after the Holocaust had already taken place, well, it's a really quality black and white video. I know in 1960 they had good color, but they chose to do it in black because that's the bleakness of it. Black, you know, the song Fade to Black. I don't want none of you people ever lose sight of this. These are those friendly people over there that vowed to bury. They came to our House of Representatives. They spoke before Congress. A little fat man, a fat little ugly guy with warts on his face, pounded his shoe on the desk, and he said, "I will bury you." His name was Khrushchev. See, I don't forget things. I will soon be forgetting because I will be dead. But as long as I'm alive, I don't forget that kind of stuff. Don't tell me about all those beautiful, wonderful people who have changed their mind about stuff. Now, they'd like to have everything in America and Canada, our 51st state, and Greenland, our 52nd state, and Panama, the 53rd state. We might just buy Mexico and just use Mexico as like a garbage area. Just dump everything down there, you know, anything we don't like, we'll throw it down there. Got to turn your brightness. Oh, I'm so white. Hell, I can't help myself, buddy. I was born white. I was born white. Born free. I'm not apologizing for being white. I had no choice in it. And I don't get no special favors for being white. I have to go fight wars. I have to do all those things that your white privilege card gives you that opportunity to go fight wars for your country. Your sons have to go fight wars. They have to lose their feet and they have to be damaged from wars. That's what white has got me. Angel face. Oh, I'm using. Listen to this, angel face. I'm trying to be the kind of narrative that is spewed every day. No, man. I want to tell you, Angel Face. I lived for 2 years with this most beautiful Mexican woman. Her mother was Mexican in Mexico, but her father came from Spain and met her, and they moved to Texas. The Spaniard came to Texas, and then he had her in Texas. So she was born in America, but she is was American, but she spoke fluent. There's Spanish and then there's Mexican slang, and she could do it really good. She took me down deep into old Mexico. If my sister was in here, she could tell you she loved my girlfriend. Everybody, all of them liked him because she was la cucaracha. Oh man, she could sing. She was her and her brothers had a like the Miami Sound Machine, like Gloria Estefan, the sound machine out of Miami. That's a little bit too old music for you young people, but they was a Miami sound machine, and they did that style of music with a Spanish flair and Latino. And I had a really good neighbor, my next door neighbor. His name was Coco Cerna. Me and old Coco, we fought so many. Well, no, I promise no more talking about fighting. We we did a lot of things together, and him and I we hunted. I gave him an opportunity to kill his first bear. He wanted to kill a bear, and he had a bear tag. So a call came in, and they needed to have 3 bears eradicated because they were threatening children in a park. So I called him, take him over there for us to kill the 3 bear. Yeah, Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear. No, there was just 3 old scroungy bears at the city dump over there. So I'm gonna let him take the lead bear. Man, he was up there, and I kept watching him, and he was just. I look over at him, and I thought, shoot, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to scare the bears, but come on, man, pull the trigger. He's standing up, looking. He was trying to smell us, and I go, this would be a perfect time, man. Shoot. Finally, he lowered back down. I said, what the hell's your problem, man? He said, I don't know, my gun won't go off. I looked over and he had the safety on. I said, oh my God. I've shoved the lever up. As soon as that gun went click on that lever, there goes the bears right back into the woods. Yeah, Gloria Estefan. I used to have her tapes, and me and this her Melvita was her name. Melvita was she was a bright spot in my life. Pretty woman. Oh, she was a good woman too. Well, I'm gonna tell you, she could cook. Whew. Oh, old Mac got along really good, but it wasn't meant to be. We did give it a couple of years to see if it worked out, but there was just well, one of the things is they would send me away for a year at a time, and she didn't want to know part of that, and she started in trying to get me to move out of my organization and to do something that where I would never be deployed again. I didn't want to give it up. I enjoyed that lifestyle, so I gave her up for the job. That's sad to say, but when you're young, you make you make financial decisions sometimes you regret. I don't know, Angel Face, if you saw my little short I made the other day of the two redbirds. I know Robin saw it. It was the male and female robin, beautiful bright red robin, and the mama is her color is quite a bit muted, but she's still a beautiful creature. And if you haven't, oh my God. Robin shooting a gun in the bathroom wouldn't be a good thing. I shot a gun inside the car one time, and the reason being is we were shooting, and the rain was coming down so hard that we just rolled the window down and moved to the other side of the car, and I wanted to finish off this shot, and I shot. Oh hell! It blew everybody's eardrums out in the car. It was a 44 Magnum. It wasn't good. Anyhow, Angel, if you get a chance to see my little short on the Old Mack over there, it's about I dedicated it. I have four wives that have passed on, and each one of them I loved in their own way. I loved something about all of them. They gave me children. Some of them did, some of them didn't. Got a lot of children, and I've been married 5 times, but four of them have passed on. And Willie Nelson sang a song about. He sung a song about angels that flew too close to the ground, and I dedicated that to my deceased wives. I'm almost 85, so I'm gonna have. It sounds awful, but I have a long marriage life. I was with Ruth for 33 years. 33 years, older probably than you are, Angel Face, married to one woman for 33 years. You can't hear me. Oh, Lord. Can you hear me, Angel Face? It's a short little video. It's only 28 seconds long or 30. It's a short. And but I was just giving you a little background on why I made the little video that when you start to summarize your life, when you're at the very end and you look back, there was a lot of beautiful songs about, you remember there was another one about all the girls I've known before, some coming in and some going out the door. It was like the swinging door, man. Oh, Dave. Oh my God. Enjoy the movie, Dave. On the Beach. It's a really good production. It was then. I'm going to tell you, you got to keep in mind when I watched that movie, I had no way of knowing about what was planned up for us. And then I spent all those years, and I go over there in the auditorium in the SALT talks agreement that they had in 1978, 79. I was a part of the SALT talk agreement, and we had to go and look and see what the Russians had planned for us. 64 targets just in America alone. And number one target, Sedalia, Missouri. Number four target was Mobile, Alabama. And you go, why would Mobile, Alabama? Why not New York, or why not Long Beach or Seattle? Because Mobile, Alabama has one of the deep water submarine ports. And if you got your submarines moving, you're still going to be a free nation. As long as you set the dogs of war loose with the submarines, they have the power to kill off every human being on this earth. We don't want that ever to happen. Oh my gosh, what a really good what a good movie, On the Beach. And I saw that in Chowchilla, California. I just come home from being a cowboy. I was in I got out after service. I got out, become a cowboy, and ended up in Chowchilla, California, the home of the Cowboys. Oh, if you get a chance to see the movie, it's a little bit right now. A little bit would be a little depressing, but it kind of gives you the roots on my feelings, Old Mack's feelings about things today, because this is how we were raised. And you got to keep in mind, I spent 22 years of making America safe with the intercontinental ballistic missiles that's still sitting in the ground, just in case somebody decides to take us out. I don't mean take us out politically, but militarily. It'll be after the fact. We won't go down easy. My stuff has assured me that we won't go down easy. If you're going to kill the world, it's going to be rough on everybody. Well, Robin, you might be having heat flashes. You know, you're a young man. You're probably going through heat flashes. That's when the alcohol content in your blood is equal to the amount of blood you got in your body. You got the same amount of blood as alcohol, and it causes you to get everything gets blurry for just a little bit. My life is all on the internet now. Remember this? I've been retired since 1995, and we put the missiles. We were working from 75 to 79 a year at a time, and I started in the program in 1970. So I ended it in 79. December of 1979, I came out. I came back into the house from out in the field, and so you have to observe 25 years. Well, you can go on the TV and look on the Discovery Channel, and you see all these abandoned Minuteman missile silos. You can buy them. You can come to America. When you become the 51st state, we're going to let you come in. And first thing we're going to do as a prize for being a part of the great American experience, we're going to give you a Minuteman missile silo over in North Dakota. You can be over near Bismarck. You can visit American Outlaw, and yeah, people are buying up. See, what happened is we had an agreement that we had a new missile that was much bigger and better and cleaner. And what it could do, it could kill off the whole population without killing the animals. You know, it was really good. It's called the MX. Well, they try to present it as the humane bomb. It don't destroy the equipment; it just kills everybody. So when we decided that we wanted the MX, the agreement was we'd have to do away with some of our Minutemen. I put 1,053 in the ground in that period of time that I was doing what I was doing. And then they ended up with just a handful of them left in each state because we replaced it with the MX. And you don't want to ever mess with the MX. It's bad. It's bad for the ecology. I've never needed any sleep. I've born without it. That's the reason I was a perfect truck driver. The only thing that got in my way on a truck, being a truck driver, was the logbook. They had rules, they had regulations. Hey, enjoy it. Let me know next time we talk, Dave. You know about the movie. I want to tell you that it was captivating, even though back in them days, it was full of life. I remember. Got to keep in mind, I was 20 years old, man. I had conquests to make, and they were everywhere. I was in California, So, but I took the time out of my life to watch that movie. Well, Angel Face, tell us what is your new acquisition? What have you got new going on as far as your bike, or getting a new bike, or looking at something different, or um, do you have anything in the works that you're going to be acquiring here in the immediate future? Oh yeah. After you get so many of them, you got to start selling them off. I sold off a few here in the last few years, but I sell really cheap. You know that little bike that I had, the old Heavy Betty, the one that was a trike, and it was a custom built trike. It had a really good hot 4 cam motor in it. The thing had a lot of horsepower. It ran good, and it was built in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and by some really good people. A company built a lot of them, and I sold that to a guy for $7,000. It had everything on it, and oh my God, he was I delivered it to him, and he told me I'll probably never ride it. He was 65 years old. He was afraid of riding it, but he wanted to have a Harley before his time was up. Beer for breakfast. Well, I do have some beer in there, but uh, all the lightning has quit now. There's no more thunder off in the distance. So the storm, the tail of it, is dragging its way through Georgia right now. Oh, when you get attached to a bike, I had a chopper built in Kennewick, Washington, and the chopper. Oh, my brother actually had the chopper built, and he picked all the things he wanted on the chopper. The idea, my brother and I both was going to get us a chopper, but I was having some marital problems, and I I I didn't have the stability he did, so he went in and had it built. And then after he had it built, he found out his wife was pregnant with another baby. So something had to go, and so I bought his bike. Oh my gosh, that was a love machine right there. It had a long extended front end on it. It had a 53 pan head engine, twice pipes up the side with fish tips back here, right back here, and it was a one kick machine. You could just retard the timing on it and put it up on the power stroke and just kick it once. You didn't have to beat your brains out trying to kick the thing, and it was sputter the life. Oh my God, we rode that thing. I mean, you saw me, you always saw the Harley. And in fact, I rode it to the hospital. I had to have surgery. That was back in when? 1970. Yeah, 1970. I had to have surgery. So I rode it to the hospital, and I stayed over there for 4 days. When they cut me loose at the hospital, she rolled me down there, and there was sitting my old Harley sitting there in the sun. 98 degrees it was that day in Walla Walla, Washington. 98 degrees. The bike was hot to the touch. When she rolled me out, I got out of the chair and I turned the petcock on, turned the gas on, reached over and retarded the distributor, took my hand and pushed the pedal down till I got it up on compression stroke. I went on the other side and gave it a kick, and one cylinder popped off, and then the second one rolled in there, and we drove it home. We was 150 miles from the hospital, and I drove that chopper 150 miles to home. Yeah, that's back. I was 30-year old. I drove a fast Porsche in 2017, I believe it was. It was called a Porsche Cayenne, and that's an SUV Porsche. It has a 525 horsepower V8 engine, twin turbochargers. It was called Cayenne S, Porsche Cayenne S. You look it up. It's aluminum engine, V8, twin turbos, and that thing had all the features on it. When you get up around 75 or 80 or something like that, a little spoiler would come up in the back. It electronically would deploy the spoiler and put more down pressure. It was awesome. It was an awesome car. Yeah, I drove that up to see my daughter, and we ran that thing too. We ran it like a bad dog. I've known some tough Marines in my life. Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it. Um, You'd be bored to death because I would tell you stories that you never heard before. I never run out of stories. When I come home from the field, I just went through a divorce. She couldn't handle that, me being gone all the time. So I met this nurse. I met a nurse that worked at the general hospital there in the county where I lived. And she was quite a bit younger than me, but boy, was she ever full of life. She loved all adventure. I don't have a picture on. Oh, I showed it the other day. My I may have it in the phone here. I had a CJ7 that was a really nice built CJ7, and she was a member of the Jeeping Club, and she loved all that stuff. Boy, we had so much fun just playing, just up in the mountains, and we did have a lot of fun. We was up at when St. Helens blowed up 1 week before the before uh, the mountain blowed up. We was up on what they call Mount Margaret. I took our Jeep Club up there, and we were watching Mount St. Helens over spewing ash. The day we was there, a black column of smoke went up 17,000 feet out of the top of St. Helens. And then the week later, just 1 week from that day, the whole top of the mountain blew out. And it buried the place where we were standing. And it was under 30 feet of ash. Let me see if I can find a picture here of my old G. Oh, I got it right here. There's one right here. You might have seen it on. Oh hell, I got my damn camera. Hang on. Here we go. Check it out. That has a Belt 304 in it, and on that picture, I'm wearing a Stetson hat, and in my right hand, I've got a bourbon and Coke. And the guy sitting on the other side, if you look close on the other side, there's another hat over there. That's my brother Robert. we were jumping in the dunes. We were just them kind of jumping people. Oh, that ain't a good picture there. Let me see. I was showing. Here I am. I got it in color, but here I'm taking the finish line. I just jumped 65 feet. That's my race car right there. I built that race car from the ground up. I hope it focus. Come on, focus. Well, it looks like it ain't gonna focus. That's me and my race car. Now that race car right there, when I built it, it had 4 shocks all the way around there. In the back, you see the up above the wheel there. There was 2 long shocks that went right there, but I tore them off just when I was in the heat race here. This is a 65-mile race. And while I was prepping for the heat race, I hit a stump and tore the axle off. So I had to put a new axle in and leave the shocks off and run a live axle. Yeah, Old Mack has not lived a slow life. It's always been action. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, but back during my period of time, that was probably proper video, Dave, movie. No, today that wouldn't fly. Today, and nobody would even go see it, but it was a box office hit for a black and white movie. It even gets really intense towards the end there, but you got to go to bed, Robin. Well, you go and get yourself some rest. Yeah, it's not even 4 o'clock yet. Um, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. The acting, back, we got to keep in mind. Look how many years ago that was. I believe it was 1960. Yeah, that's 40, 65 years ago. But it held us spellbound back during that period of time. 59. So I was pretty close. I was just guessing at it. So, oh, you're working out. Angel Face is doing another video. Yeah, when they get up to when you if you well you may lose interest in it before they get to San Francisco. But what happened is in Australia they begin to hear a signal coming out of America, and it was Morse code, and it was like that, occasionally, and they could, well, it may be because of the atmospheric condition, they're not getting a full, and they said, the only thing we can do, if there's any survivors in America, we've got to go see. So that, they have to go up there and oh my, they sent an away team, they went ashore, and they get in there, and what they did is, I ain't gonna tell you where the signal is coming from, but they tracked down and found where the signal is coming from, where the Morse code signal is coming from, and everybody's heart just sank. They really believed that there's a possibility there was some people still left alive in North America. Well, I do a lot of video. I do a lot of video, and reason being is when I expire, there'll be some left over. I have a lot of grandchildren out there, and probably it'll be a lot of great great grandchildren. And if they have the technology, they'll be able to look back and say, "Was that my grandpa? My great great grandpa? Did he do that?" Yeah, I really I can understand that. You remember I talked about I've got four deceased wives and all these different things. It wasn't good for a marriage. I mean, yeah, I started actually in 2007 when they first become a company, but I was N7DRR then, and I switched over. N7DRR is a federal license given to me by the FCC, and that's what I used to name my channel. In fact, you see on the it says N4DRR now. I was then in those days N7DRR. This number was given to me by the federal government. That's my FCC call sign. That'd be something probably any Navy guy will tell you. Yeah, of course. I made a statement the other day, and it drawed a little bit. I said, "Country," I put God and country, and then family, and they go, "No, it's family first." Well, it all depends on how you look at it. If your family has no future because it's going to be taken over by a dictatorship and destroyed, from an enemy going to send nukes over, and especially when they represented what they call the communist regime, people didn't want to go that way. So yeah, you want to put your country right up there high. If you don't keep the country, I can't imagine my kids being raised under the oppression of a communist regime. I mean, I don't know. I mean, might have flourished. I don't know. To me, I have my ideas of what I think things should be like, and that's all I've got. In 1960, you remember we were dropping some big ass bombs in 1960. You remember Bikini Atoll? We dropped one really big down of hydrogen bombs, and we made the island disappear basically. And then the Russians just had to top us. They come up with the Tsar Bomba, and Tsar Bomba the yield stopped somewhere around 150 megaton, 150 million tons, but they only used a little plutonium. They could have upped the yield significantly. But 150 megaton sucks all the oxygen out of the air. And for a long ways around, it could be terrible. But we don't want to think about that. Here it is Sunday here in my country. Sunday hadn't even got started. We don't even know how many people is going to be hurt today. We don't know what last night's storm did to people. We're just sitting in our little cubicle here, and all is well here on my place. Electricity, I've got steady 120 volts of current, and all is well here in Arkadelphia. I've met a lot of good Russians, Dave. I'm talking about really warm human beings. There's a difference between Russian people and Russian political people. Um, I met some hard-working Russian people. We hired so many Russian people. These were computer scientist guys, and when they came over and started working for us in 1980, the Russians started working for the company in 1980. They was getting about $65 a month to be a computer science. They could do anything. Oh, they were so good, and they went from $65 a month to $6,500 a month. It's a little bit of a jump there. You know, capitalism it had its own rewards. Capitalism did. Communal living, everybody gets a little piece of the action. Sure, you may have to wait 5 years to get a refrigerator, but you'll soon get one. Vodka, man. Um, Vodka can win you over pretty quick. Me and my sister both love vodka. We've been drinking potato vodka. When I came up, potato vodka was a common vodka. Well, Angel, the concept of communism is appealing. You know, if it's fairly administered, if like as the Marxists and the various writings that the publications out, it paints a pretty good picture, but it falls short because what happens, you give some people a little bit of power, and then it becomes absolute power, the power over your life. Oh yeah, I think communal living amongst the Amish would probably parallel with the ideas Lenin and Marx had of that form of living, communal living. All my bedroom, everything is all made by Amish people. We bought nothing but Amish furniture because every nail was put in just perfect. Every screw was in the right place. No, my stuff is 50 years old and it's still all the drawers open flawlessly. I've got my china cup cabinet in there. All the doors swings open perfectly. All the cut glass in it is never cracked. And it's such workmanship. Yeah, and we go to the Amish. You saw me. In fact, I got a picture for every reason. Um, I go up there to a restaurant up in Danville, and we go up there every year. We go up there every. We like to go like once a month to Danville to the old cook stove. And boy, I'm talking about you talking about some good eating. There's a whole bunch of us used to go there, and here is, in fact, hang on, let me get up here. This is a video of the old cook stove. Look at them old. Look at that right there. Look at majestic cook stove. Now that stove is no longer being used, but this is inside of the old cook stove. Oh my God, the food is so good there. And the people are so clean and respectful. I'll tell you a little story. I may have told you already, Dave. Um, there was a lady that served us for many years. She was our waitress. And one day I go in and she's not there. So I asked this lady, I said, where is, and I called her out by name. She said, oh, uh, she's not with us now, but that's her daughter over there. So when the daughter came by, we said, hey, we've been missing your mama. What's the story? How come she's not here? She said, Mama is dying from cancer. She's terminally ill. Oh, good God Almighty, that's at Christmas time. And so we started pulling out them $100 bills. Everybody around my table, man, they started piling the money up on the table there. And we got a pretty good handful of $100 bills. And when the little short lady come back over, her daughter, we gave her that stack of money to give to her mama, share it with her, go buy her mama something nice. Um, God, it just made her day. That lady did not know how many people loved her. She was so pleasant when she served us food. It wasn't just a bloody job. She had a purpose in life. I saw that. Well, I've got several members of my family retired from the Navy. My boy Donald, he's been to Perth, and he was in the U.S. Navy, and he came and he visited every port in Australia. But when he was over there in the Philippines, the Chinese was doing this running. They was blocking the people from the Philippines from going into their traditional fishing waters, and they was trying to do that bullshit. And the U.S. Navy, my son, he was on the USS Ingersoll, the destroyer. Well, our president moved the destroyer up there, and then he brought in, when the destroyer is there, that's part of the Sixth Fleet or Pac West. And next thing you know, there's 150 ships there, and the Chinese took their little asses, the little asses back away from that line. They broke the barricade. Well, now the Chinese start doing it again over in the Philippines. Now they're doing that thing with Australia. It was like back during the Indian days. The Indians used to ride around, whoa, 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 and circle the cowboys. You people in in Australia, you've got a history of strength. You're not wusses. Any country to take on Australia. I used to say with great bit of confidence, if anybody messed with Australia, our government would be 100% there, shoulder to shoulder, with all of our Australian brothers and sisters. But I don't know that. I don't know that anymore. I don't know if y'all said anything to offend our president. It might not work that way. We work under a different set of rules than what we used to have. We used to have a constitution, and we had a lot of things that dictate on how we behaved as a country. But all that's kind of gone away. You just don't know. We don't know if you're a friend. You're my friend, but I don't know the position of the government between my government and your government. It's a sad thing. We can be the best of friends. And I can tell you, and I will assure you this, I don't care who the president of the United States, I will not take up arms against you, Dave. You don't never have to worry about that. And neither will any of my loyal American patriotic people that love America would never take up arms against you or Canada. You can rest assured you can sleep good at night knowing I don't care what somebody else may say. Our people are never going to allow that to happen. They can. Our country is big, and it can endure a lot of things, and we've had to endure a lot of stuff. I remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother, she was worried what Truman was going to do to us. Because see, he dropped that bomb on them Japanese people, which she was glad to see because all of our relatives was in the Pacific Theater there too. What wasn't in Europe was over in the Pacific Theater, and he happened to come home sooner. But the rumor was that Truman had an ill temper, and he might just blow us all up, get us all killed. We've seen everything, buddy. We've had them all. But it won't stain the relationship between you and I. They are those that would take up arms against you. But it's not going to be me. Dyed breed media. I think you was on earlier. If I ignored you, please forgive me. I forget to look over and see who is saying what. Yeah, we saw your new temporary. I don't know how your government work. To be honest, I don't know exactly how your government works. How you select your parliament. I do like the way y'all do this in a quick. Y'all don't get beat to death for 4 years from the time you cast your vote for the person that's going to be your president. The campaign starts immediately that day for the next 4 years, so it goes on and on. We never in the old days, we used to get a breath of air between elections. You go, whew, we can at least get through these next 4 years, But now you can't. It's constant turmoil. I mean, it never ends. You can't get out one. You get one fire put out, and another springs up. Well, look at, you saw my video where I explained our beginning, when we separated ourselves from the king. There was a lot of people that didn't even agree with that. You got to keep in mind, they were British subjects living in America. Oh, I would like to tell you that I was some kind of a war hero, but unfortunately, I was limited on what I could do. My brother was killed. My brother is only 18 months older than me. My brother was killed in the army, and I was in military academy. I was going to military school. And while I was going to military school, my brother gets killed. And then I go to be with my mother during the burial of my brother. He was buried in a military cemetery over there in Barstow, California. He was trained in those days, it's called Camp Irvin. That's a tank facility. It's right now America's largest tank training center. It's Fort Irwin now, but in those days it's Camp Irvin. Good night, Robin. So I wanted to go into the Army, and I presented to my mother a recruitment thing. I'd already decided what I wanted to do, and she said, absolutely not. And we had this big farm, 166 acres, and she said, I really need you here on the farm. I said, I really need to go fulfill my obligation. I want to do it while I am trained. And so she let me join the National Guard. Well, I signed a 2-year contract with the National Guard, but I had to go and serve in the regular Army. I got a discharge on the wall. Look right over there. I can't get it any closer. Maybe I can. Let me see how close I can get. I can stretch this wire out here. Can you see that right there? It's an honorable discharge. What I had to do is 2 years. I had to do 2 years, and then I had to do reserve, Army Reserve. So I got that discharge was 1962. After I met my obligation there. So that's a total of 4 years. But I have all my children, 5 of my kids, 3 of them made full retirement. And one of them he got blowed up in Fallujah. And he only got in 19 years in. I was in the Army National Guard. I have to use that word because even though I didn't serve in the regular Army, I went in through the National Guard. That was a way we had to circumvent my mother's loss of my brother. It was devastating to her. But I wasn't trying to be trickery. But the guy at the National Guard said, this would give you your military time. And that was a program they had in. They don't even offer that 2-year thing no more, where you do 2 years and you finish your rest of your time with the reserve. I don't think they do. I don't know. I don't keep up with it. But I spent all of my adult life working for the military. Up here on the wall, let me move this around up here. Up here on the wall, these are some of my projects right there. Not the piston, the ones that got jet motors on them. I'm too young to be up during the piston days, but you don't see any missiles on there because my company was noted for making aircraft, big bombers. Right now they make the C-17, which is a nice cargo airplane. But I joined when I went to work for the company. This recruiter for the U.S. government came down. The recruiter, he recruited me to work for the military division of aerospace. Aerospace is a organization within the company. They do work for the government. I hope that satisfies you. I don't have any glorious, except I got a lot of years with them. I was stationed. I've been stationed in a lot of places. I've been stationed more than any of my kids. They didn't get to go there, but I got to go there. I was on the Nimitz, aircraft carrier Nimitz. You go, how in the hell? Yeah, I've got videos right here on YouTube. You can see me carrying a camera. I had one of these big cameras on my shoulder here, walking around with this big camera on the aircraft carrier Nimitz. I got to do 2 deployments on the Nimitz. I got to shoot stuff like this right here. These is we built a little gun. It's called a weapon. We built a weapon. It was based on the phalanx system for the aircraft carrier. That's 30 millimeter. I give you an example. Here's a Mongoose round. This on the left right here, that's a 50 cal, and this is a 30 millimeter. Kind of make a comparison. This round is bigger than my hand. I got a pretty good size hand, as big as my hand. That's a good size round. Mongoose 50 cal and 30 millimeter. There you see the brass is almost about the same length, but the diameter, look how much fatter. And look at the round. That's a 1-inch diameter round. Well, we made a gun, a company called Raytheon. Raytheon is an electronic company. They build a Gatling gun that had 7 barrels on it, 30 millimeter for it's for defense of the ship. But the Navy rejected our weapon we built, and they went with 40 millimeter. They felt that the 40 would give them a little bit more firepower, but the 30 was more economical and faster firing. We could fire that 30 a lot faster than you could fire the 40 millimeter. Thank you, Robin, for joining in with us this morning. No, I don't like to get involved in politics because everybody's got an opinion. And mine is based upon the actual things that I really know about that I was involved in. I can tell you about 1979 SALT talks. Nobody, they go, oh, that's that damn Jimmy Carter did that stuff. The man died in peace. He was doing everything in the world to make sure that the world had peace. Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of stories. Got to do a lot of things. We just now got a flash flood warning here. A flood warning is in effect. I knew it was coming. I knew that anytime it rains that hard above us, it's gonna wash through here. So we're under flood watch. Well, I've stated my opinion about how I feel about the Canadian people. There's good people in this world. You know, when he talked about making America great again, my America has always been great. My America fed its hungry. My America educated the poorly educated. My America gave you security and would protect you. My America, if you wanted to start a democracy and you've been living under a communist regime, my country would make sure that you got a democracy. That's what we used to sell ourselves to the rest of the world. Like, if you want a democracy, we'll give you a democracy. If it takes killing everybody in your country to get it, we will give you a democracy. Well, see, now today it's hard to sell democracy because you see how the democracy go. Today, I'm doing this to you. No, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do that to you today, but I'm going to do it to you next week. No, 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 no. I am going to do it to you. I'm going to start tomorrow. No, 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 no. I will start next week for sure. Oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to double it this time. You ain't never seen how much it's going to be until I do it one more time to you. Well, I like to live under, I tell you I'm going to do something and we do it. Good, bad, or indifference. I like stability, man. I like to wake up. I don't care who the president is. I couldn't care less. This flag means more to me than any president has ever lived. And well, I showed you in my video when I went down and looked at these people laying in the ground that was born in the 1700s, died in the early 1700s, 1800, early 1800s, laying in the ground here in Alabama. They believed in this flag. They believed in this country. No, this is not a big deal. Let's make a deal. This is not a TV show. We can't run our country. Let's make a deal. Um, no, give us some stability. I don't care. I don't even mind living in poverty. I can do that. If it took stability to have peace in the world, I would live in poverty because I can handle poverty. I cannot handle instability. I want things to be stable. Um, this is not putting any blame on any political party. It's just the way I like my life. How we were successful in all those years of putting missiles in the ground and doing it where we speeded up the from 30 days down to 12 days in the process, as everybody was happy and everybody worked consistently and everybody did their job because we had stability. We had a route that we were taking and we stayed the course till we completed each task. And that's how I was raised, with stability. And now we live in times of, what's going to happen today? I have no clue. I can't say for sure. So that's the reason I don't get myself involved in the political end of a conversation, because I can't assure you what's going to happen tomorrow. I can't give you my word on anything that this is what my country is going to do for you or not going to do to you. I don't know. I can't assure you nothing. We're living one day at a time. I like planning. I like planning towards a stable growth, giving back to the people for what they worked for to get. Yeah, so true, Dying Breed. Uh, I'm gonna tell you, it's not good for my family either. My family is so divided. That's the reason I live alone here. Me and Angelique, we live here because people just come and go. They change their mind. They love you, they don't love you. I might love you, but I don't know for sure if I'm allowed to love you or not. If I'm told I can't love you because of you watched the wrong TV, you watched the wrong news, you watched the wrong, and so I can't love you. I used to love you, but now that I know that you're doing this, I can't love you no more. What the hell kind of living is that? Love me for what I am and not what my politics are or what my country's politics are. I'm just me, Old Mack. I'm not a political representative, except I try to represent this flag right here the best of my ability. My wife, um, she had a daughter. This is Ruth, and the daughter um, got herself pregnant, and she was not mature enough to take care of a child. She was running around doing her thing like a hippie. So my wife takes the baby and raises the baby till I come along. When I come along, she was 5 years old. She's now 40. Angelique's been with me for 35 years. She's my partner. She's my buddy. She rides with me. She, I didn't even know she existed until like 10 years ago. I didn't have nothing to do with her. I mean, she was her and Ruth. They went vacation together. They went everywhere together. And I never was a part of that. But Ruth died. Ruth got sick and died on us. And I inherited Angelique. And she's a good human being. I try to treat her like a woman, not like a little girl. She is a grown woman. And I allow her to make decisions, and she loves being a woman. She does. She loves shopping, and she likes planning, and all she's ever known is living a lifestyle that's regimented. Because I am a regimented authoritarian, and that's all she's ever known. In other words, I make decisions, I make plans, and we execute those plans, and that's the way it's going to be. And she loves that life. She likes to know that she can draw up plans. She planned for us to go to Washington, and we went to Washington. We went twice in the last couple of years. We took her mama, her grandmother in reality. We took her ashes to Mount Baker in Washington and buried Ruth in the river. We sprinkled her ashes in the river, and she flowed in the very river that she used to whitewater raft in. And it was really a sad moment. I videoed it, and I couldn't even hardly keep from crying while I was videoing. And Angelique is an independent person. I try to include her in some of my stuff. I don't insist that she do anything. She's her own person, but she's always lived here. We've been here since '97, and she fills a void that was left by Ruth. She's somebody I chat with every day. You need to have somebody to have breakfast with, to talk to, make plans with, share your happiness, and share the labors of your love. You worked hard all your life, and Ruth didn't get to share it with me. She was with me for 33 years, and she left way too soon. Oh, Angel Face, and just you're going to meet all kinds of characters, and you laugh, and I'm going to be one of those characters, and and I've got a lot of characters in my life that I really look forward to seeing. I had a good friend. Him and I was really close friends. And then the day we went riding to the cemetery over there, the phone rang, but it was inside of a pocket and we couldn't answer it. But when I got home, we answered the phone, and it was my good friend's wife. And after 50, 60 years of marriage, he had expired on her. I had to go through that one more time. He was Army. I think he was in the 101st Airborne, and he was stationed out there at Camp Irvin, where my brother was killed. He was stationed out there. When he was stationed there, it was Fort Irwin, and yeah, he was in the 101st Airborne, but he took training out there, artillery. Oh, that's wonderful. You can ask Angelique when she'll tell you. She never hides her love for Old Mac. She she's just a loving creature. I mean, she's a loving human being, and I am her idol. Because see, I had to have Angelique to leave the room when Ruth was dying. I stayed with her, and I put my hands and closed her eyes, and we talked up to the very end. She was incoherent. She did not know anything. She died from Alzheimer's, um, but I was talking. But um, before she went, I was looking right at her. Her little eyes locked onto my eyes. I looked right inside her, and then it was over. My sister was on the phone. She had called me, and she took her last breath, and my sister could hear her last breath because I was really close to her. And Angelique sees me as the hero that saw her mother go away. It was never grandma to her, it was always her mother. But somebody had to do it. Somebody had to be there. Somebody had to do it. And I was chosen the one to do it. I enjoy the funny side of life. And Ruth provided me a lot of humor. She was really, she was quite a cultured lady. She's a Texas college graduate. She went to Texas Christian. She was an art major, well educated, well read. She used to be on TV. She had a little morning show, and I used to take her up to the studio, and she would get up there, and she'd have her whole thing all worked out. Well, she'd get up there, and the engineers would change the format of the program, and she could just switch. I'm talking about she was capable of flowing with any subject. She'd roll right into it. I so admired that in her ability to be able to just when the engineers changed the format of the show, she did not go, "Oh, I can't do that." No, hell no. Her first thing is, "Let me at it." Diane Bree, that is a wonderful story. I really appreciate you sharing that. Um, you're going to reap the rewards. You'll see when she becomes a young lady and starts her family. To Angelique, I am the only family she's got. She's certainly not being held prisoner. we're not going we're not going to get a fund started. Free Angelique, free Angelique. She knows this is a home. We got a little cemetery out over here that we bury our animals in the cemetery. But when her little puppy passed away last year, we decided to take her puppy up on the hill because she used to walk up on the hill with that little dog was named Tanner. And so we buried Tanner up on the hill so it could overlook the place. From up there, you can see down over the house and across there. It's out there a ways. And all of her young puppies that she had, they lived to be 15, 16 years of age, and we buried them as time comes by. As her time was up, I see I've got that little fella right here. He's laying right over there. That's Theo. He's 16 years old this year. He's out of time. And when we went to Washington last year, we brought back Colton, and Colton's 14 years old. And he's the love of our life. He replaces Tanner. He's a little white dog. He's not in here now. He's in there with Angelique. And he is the nicest little dog and so mannered. Colton's master was an army. He was in the army. She painted a lot of stuff. When she died, I hauled 1,500 pounds of her art and her supplies and everything. We took it to the dump. She had studio back there in that room over there. The reason being is, here's what happens. Family begins to fight. Family won't show you any love, none to her, while she's alive. They damn sure ain't going to enjoy 1 cent of it or nothing after she was gone. She asked me to do this, and we did. She painted mostly mountain scenes and whitewater rafting. She belonged to this whitewater rafting group up in Washington State, and she did these class 5 big waterfalls, and she would dive over them. And she had a specially built kayak that would handle the big drops. She also did a lot of stills. She painted. I got a picture. She painted Angelique, really a beautiful Angelique. Got her hanging on the wall when she was like 3 or 4 years old. We got her hanging on the wall in there. But all her supplies, we took all of the supplies, all the, the beginnings of the art piece, and never fulfill the vision. And it was all stacked in there, and we hauled 1,500 pounds of it to the dump. Yeah. All of her jewelry, Angelique inherited that, was given to her while she was alive. She knew her time was up. It took Ruth 5 years to die. She had the cancer, and she survived that. And she was like in her 5th or 6th year of surviving cancer. And then she got Alzheimer's. And then she went through the 5 years of Alzheimer's and passed away. Well, Angel Face, it's past your bedtime, isn't it? I mean, you might be like Frogzilla. He's a night person. He stays up all night. I didn't see Frog tonight. Yeah, it is a bit confusing with Angelique because we squabble like a couple because I want her to be an independent person. You know, I'll always be an authoritarian, or I'll always be uh, her her dad, if you will. But she never called me daddy. She had a real daddy. I was the one that raised her, and she always loved me for that. Hey, Ben Tipton. Oh, yeah, that's right. Wait when it gets down to the end there, Dave. It gets pretty sad because can you imagine right now in your situation living in Australia, knowing that a catastrophic event has occurred around the world due to mishandling of these powerful weapons we have, and the whole world is now dying because of radiation. And you're the last place in the world left alive, just the people of Australia. And knowing that the trade winds are coming, and when it does, everything in Australia will also be gone. That's the premise. And to me, what a dreadful, scary feeling, just waiting for the end to come. Oh yeah, what do you got today? You can get you some rest and get it. Put your video together. I whoop them things out. I know people say your videos are way too long. Well, you don't have to watch them in one setting. Um, a long time ago, probably in 1980, that's what 45 years ago. I bought a camera, a big RCA camera that had a 16-pound power pack. The tape deck was down here. Cable came up through the handle, and you carried it on your shoulder. And I did videos and I used to give the camera to my kids, and they would make these movies. And oh my God, on the weekends they would show me the movies on the big screen. They had a Mitsubishi big screen TV, and they would put it on there and show me all the movies they made with that camera. And they was quite creative with it, you know. That was in 1980. That was our entertainment. Yeah, yeah, everything is subtle. Everything is just leaves it up to your imagination, Dave, to dreaded thoughts that can come into your head. It didn't have to. It didn't have to paint the picture in broad strokes, you know, so that no, it came clear in your mind. This is the worry that was on everybody's mind is the end. You know, just how would you face it? In other words, would you? Well, you'll live forever if you're going to listen to my life story because mine is a never-ending story. It goes on and on and on. Uh, we've lived a lot in our lifetime, and we've got to do a lot of things. There, oh man, we took off on a lot of different ventures. I used to be a deep sea fisherman. I got a lot of pictures of our deep sea fishing, and I've almost met my demise more than once. Somehow I managed to stay alive for a little bit longer. Yeah, I had cancer. There's a video of me. There's a video that I done. I was celebrating being 5 years without cancer, cancer free for 5 years. And I was out there drinking rum and in the flower garden. Right behind me is a flower garden over there. They was then. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you really you're gonna be a victim if you allow yourself to succumb to all of the stuff that's going on. You know, that's the reason you notice when I turn the camera towards the dog over there, there's not a TV going over there. I don't have it on because I'd rather not hear about it, all that stuff. You know, I pick up my phone, and as soon as I turn it on, guess what happened today? You ain't gonna believe it. I go, yes, I would believe it. It's like a competition is how bad can I, how bad can I be today? Or how much can I do that's going to rile everybody up? I don't want to hear about it. We talk about it because it's our life. It's everywhere, you know. Only the good die young. Yeah, you got to find a little spot somewhere where you can find comfort, you know, without the depression of fear and dread of the unknown. You know, they referred to poking the bear. China, uh, only thing we got really good going for us, China basically has not tried to expand in 6,000 years. And, but things are starting to change. And they're just about are starting to outgrow their own country. And maybe expansion might be a solution, is what they're looking at, you know? Because it looked like there's an attitude now is that if you've got something and I want it, I can take it if I'm strong enough. I would never believe there was ever a conversation about invading Greenland. I could not ever believe that you could ever carry on a conversation. You know, if Greenland was always constantly shooting our ships as they went by, if Greenland was putting lead acid chemicals in the water and it's flowing down and killing people in New York, you could develop some kind of a hatred for that, killing the fish, killing the water, killing. No, it's just hard to imagine that you could incite people to go to war when there's no cause for it. There's no, in order, you got to have a reason for me to go to war, for me to take my weapons and use it to kill other human beings. I have to have a reason. I would have to have a reason. One is don't come after my family, and try to keep the flag, the stars on my flag. I like it. I like the amount of flag. I like how many stars are on the flag right now. I'm not interested in seeing more stars on my flag. But after I'm gone, they can have as many stars as they want to. I'm hoping I leave a legacy where people would say, we don't need to take from anybody. We have, if we're the wealthiest country in the world, I hear this all the time. I hear this all the time. America is the wealthiest country in the world per capita and all that stuff. We should have no poverty. We should not have a failed medical system. I don't see the bottle now, but I have to. Here it is, right here. Here's the medicine they give me so I can stay alive. Right here. It's called Farxiga. I'm stage 4 kidney failure. Farxiga. There it is, right there. So when I was in Washington, I filled 90-day supply in Washington. when I came back down here, now my 90 days is up. I went over to my friendly Walgreens store where I do all the filling. They said that's $398 for 30 days. I go, what the hell are you talking about? He said, you got to meet the something other that they've imposed. I said, what do you mean they've imposed? He said, in January of 2025, they've changed Medicare, and you got to pay the premium. Well, you got to pay like a deductible up front. I said, I'm paying $300 a month. $300 a month from my insurance. Well, you got to pay $398 for 30 pills, and then after you buy the pills, then it's $141 after that. And so I quit taking it. Yeah, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna play the game. They was an executive order written to eliminate this. Is I'm a diabetic. This is medicine for diabetes, and the reason they gave me this medicine here is because it. I don't know if you, there it is right there. It helps with my kidney problem. See, the other medicine I was taking, glipizide, that was killing my kidneys. And this right here helps my kidneys, and it makes me stay alive longer. And they raised it to $398 for 30 pills. And I go, to hell with you. I'd rather die as to pay it. I ain't going to pay it. So I've lived 85 years. I'm going to live it out to the end. I don't give a rat's ass about none of that. You know, you can write all the executive orders and you can cancel everything and whatever you want to do. I've already lived my life. You can't hurt me. I'm indestructible. I'm on the good end of life where you don't give a rat's ass no more. You can't harm me. You can threaten to do all kinds of stuff, take everything away. Now they're talking about taking my Social Security away. I spent all my life working and paying in that. Now they're talking about they might take it away. It all depends on how I feel that day. Well, do it. I got a garden out here. I can raise enough vegetables. I know how to can. I do have a canner. I can raise produce. I can can my goods. I've got animals here on my place. I've got so many deer. I've got turkeys. I can live off the game. I know how to hunt. I know how to skin an animal. So you can take all that away. Do whatever you want to. I don't care. We don't care anymore. Well, I'll be 85 in just a few months. In June, I'll be 85 years of age, and I already lived a good life. So you can't, my caliber people can't be threatened. I don't have no, thinking I'm going to live forever. When I was in the 6th grade of school, we studied about a thing called the bell curve theory of probability, the bell curve. I sounded interesting. So that day I was listening, and she said, if you was born in 1940, which I was, by this time I'm like 12 years old or whatever, she said, you will live to be 67 years at the peak of the bell curve. 67 years if you was born in 1940. I go, whoa, that's a long, man. I'm only 12 years old. Man, I got a lot of living to do. Woo, look how many years that is. Now here it is. I'm now going on 85 and still alive. They never counted on that would be 1952 when she was talking to me about the bell curve. And in 1952, they had no idea that they would even be able to cure polio. People were crippled up from polio. Diabetes was killing people, unbelievable amount of people. Measles was killing people. So you die for a moment. And we found out the human being was so fragile during that period of time. That's the reason he said I'd only live to be 67. Not just me, but every human being that was born in America at that time would live to be 67. And you can see they found a way of eradicating the polio. They was able to eradicate tuberculosis, um, measles, smallpox, all the various things that kill so many people. They was able to successfully eradicate it. We were challenged once again with the coronavirus, and my friend that fought in the war, my friend that just passed away this past week, he died from COVID in 2025. He died from COVID in the state of Alabama that absolutely does not believe in it. It was a hoax. It was a lie. It didn't exist. Those million that died, those numbers were made up. Now, this boy is dead, and he died, and on his death certificate, it said COVID. Angel Face, I have a vivid imagination. In other words, I don't take me much to conjure up almost any kind of idea, a notion. And like if you know your time is up, would you do this? No, no. What happens there is you have a moral compass. You would never break that barrier, that moral compass. See, when I was 12 years old, I was called to the altar by a voice that was in my head. It was inspired by the preacher up at the altar. And I felt the power come to me when I was 12 years of age. And it stayed with me all of my life. Now, I have probably broken every vow. That you can't be married 5 times and not break vows. I've done things that just most unforgivable, things I really hate. But I had an understanding between me and the Creator, and that has never went away. And that has never went away. And so, if the opportunity, and I knew I was going to die, but I could do something that would be illegal to make it possible for Angelique to live a life of luxury. All I have to do is commit a sin within itself by breaking the moral barriers, moral code that I have instilled, and that has been instilled in me in a lifetime. And I would never be able to break that. Right is right and wrong is wrong, even to the day. I asked every day of my life for forgiveness. I thank God when I get up in the morning, when my feet touches the floor. I didn't get my ass up out of that bed. The guy that brought me here got me up out of the bed. And we don't forget that. We don't forget that. In my darkest of moments, when the storm was raging last night, God was right here in this. You see, was still here. we didn't die last night. Let me tell you just a little quick story about public speaking. One time, a manager came down from upstairs. I was just came back in out of the field, and I was trying to get my a good footing on how how the future is going to be from where my new surroundings was. How was I going to shape the future from where I was at that moment? And he came up to me and he said, the manager said, I would like for you to be um, a representative of the company in the 3D world. I said, what is that? He said, we've got a new division, the computer science. They're developing these artificial intelligence. They're developing all these things that we're fixing to venture out into a world of digital wonder. And we're going to call this world the 3D world, three-dimensional world. And I said, how are you going to apply that to manufacturing? He said, oh, what if you built me a tool that can see three dimensions at one time? We call these dimensions X, Y, and Z. Three dimensions, X, Y, and Z. Forward, up, left, and right. Three dimensions. He said, what if I tell you that we're going to develop a tool that's going to measure by using this new wonderful digital telemetry that we're going to develop using binary language? We're going to develop the ability to see in 3D, not just visually to see, but mathematically to see in 3D. And I said, oh, that sounds really wonderful and everything. He said, I want you to be my representative. But he said, I'll get with you Monday. This was on a Friday. I'll get with you Monday. So I gave it a lot of thought over the weekend. And I thought, no, that ain't for me. That would not be for me. I don't like the unknown. I don't know. I like to have somebody to lead me in a path. That's the reason I lean on God. He gives me a path to go in, and it's a pretty straight path. I would like to have guidance. So, nope, that would be too much into the future. I'm just going to have to say no on that one. So I come in on a Monday. I'm coming down through there, and here comes the supervisor, and he's got a big stack of paperwork, and he said, "Oh, this is all for you." I go, "What's this?" He said, "You're going to take over a new department. It's called the 3D world." I go, "What do you mean I'm going to take over the department?" He said, "Here it is right here. Here's everything you're going to need to know. And here's the people you got to report." I said, "Wait a minute, hold it. You asked me, would I consider joining the 3D world? And now you've already got me a department and I am going to, yep, yep. And I said, no. He said, well, first of all, you got to go to a speech class. You have a bit of a speech impediment. I said, I have a speech impediment. He said, yeah. He said, you got a Southern accent. I talked back in 1980. Hell, here's what we got to do, and this is how we're going to do it. We talked a little bit slow, and they was afraid that the people from MIT would think I was slightly retarded because I talked a little slow. So now they got to send me to speech, and so I can learn how to wordsmith and how to put words in its proper place. I go, no, I don't want to do none of that. And he said, Friday, I asked you, would you consider, and today it's already been decided. You are it. You can go up those stairs into your new position, or you can go to that door right over there where it says exit. Bye. Or welcome to the new world. So I went upstairs. I spent 7 years up there. And so they sent me these classes, and they wanted me to be more wordy. They wanted to give me the right words to say one word. See, I come from the old school. I can talk for 30 minutes, and there's only 3 or 4 words you needed to hear in that whole conversation to make any meaning or any sense. And the idea was to get to those 3 words as soon as possible without messing around with all this other stuff in the conversation, in the communication. Anyhow, so I went on this little tour. They sent me to visit all the facilities with all my paperwork, and I had to go and meet all of these different department heads and all these different parts of the military division. You got the Navy Department, you got the Air Force, the Army. We make a lot of missiles for the Army. And so I went on this 1 year tour. And then by this time I come back, it's 1981. And upstairs, they had set up a whole new 3D world built all around this thing it was going to be doing. Talk to a guy named Bubba. I got a Bubba story to tell too. I mean, a real funny Bubba story. But anyhow, we go up there and they gave me a thing called a CATIA. I never even heard of a CATIA. CATIA is a big monitor that you can measure off, and you have what's called a CAD 3D system where you actually can take 3 computers. Back in them days, we only had 8088s. We didn't have the 396 or the 486. We only had 8088 chips. And Microsoft had not been founded yet. They had not started. They was a fledgling company, but we didn't have them on board of us until we didn't get them until 82 when we got Microsoft in 1982. Hey, Ray. Oh, buddy, I'm on the air. That's the purpose of me coming on the air. I got on this morning before 3 o'clock to let everybody. I stayed and waited till the clouds moved over into Georgia. A lot of damage out there, Ray. I sent some pictures out last night. I don't know how many people might have got hurt or if anybody got hurt. I know I didn't go out after the big storm. It finished here. The big one lasted somewhere near midnight, but it came back in again around 2 something. But it's gone now, man. It's somewhere else. I've been enjoying your visit down there to the Forgotten Angels camp. I watched the races yesterday. Sick did a good job with that. Over there, him and Shade Tree Surgeon and watching the guys doing the slow drag race, and that was so much fun. And I doubt if any of those people in that contest was even drinking beer or anything. They'd stayed up all night planning their strategy on how to win that race. I kept seeing the old shovelhead kept falling over, and yeah, old Sick did a good job on that. It's all quiet here down. Everything has moved out. I think it quit lightning around 3 o'clock. But it's on up into the Carolinas now. Our power, was not very stable last night, and we had no internet, none to speak of. Well, the dog is waking up and starting to move around. I thought, what? Oh, he gets pretty nervous. My dog does during the storm. He come over and sit right on my foot. He did. Well, I think the idea of him sitting on my foot is if he felt me moving, he knew I was fixing to take off running. He was ready to run too. Do you have a show this morning, Ray? You guys going to do? Let me see. It's 6:15 over there, almost 6:15. Do you have a show you're going to do over there this morning? Coleman County, right in the center, up to the north. We're about 60 miles from Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville. And so we're up north. We're north central Alabama. Yeah, Angel Face, when I took that position upstairs, we got to work with some really great people. The Honeywell Corporation, Microsoft came and joined us. Um, the Leica Corporation in Switzerland came and joined us. And we developed a thing called the interferometer. Um, Honeywell it's a giant. We've developed a thing between all these companies called the Boeing had the money, and the money was, of course, given to us by the government to a government grant to develop these new Star War technologies. Remember, we had a president named Ronald Reagan in 1980, and he wanted us to explore the Star Wars, where we could actually send a 747 out, or a 757, or a 767, open up a door on the side and fire laser beams to shoot incoming missiles down. Because Ronald Reagan was born the same kind of period of time, not the same time I was, but he was from that same generation that we knew clearly who the enemy was at that point, and we are planning on to shoot the incoming missiles down with that Star Wars project. So to have the Star Wars, we had to have a 3D world where we could see beyond a single dimension and be able to do these things. Because when you're flying, let's say you're flying at 500 miles per hour, and you got a laser gun built up in the front, right behind the cockpit, and this laser can be moved, elevated, but it's also got to be on a gimbal, so when the plane pitches and rolls, the laser can lock onto a target and have pitch and yaw, so that you don't lose anything. To do this, to develop something like this, you have to have the ability to handle 3 dimensions at one time. Your the 3 axes at one time. So we assigned the computer to each dimension, to each axis of the dimension. And so from the Star Wars development, we built this tool that really the most innovative tool you've ever seen. It allows you to measure in 3 dimensions. And if I held this remote control up, as you can see, it's in multiple dimensions. It has a width, thickness, it has a length, and it has multiple axes. Well, when you could, in the old days, you only could see a single plane. I could draw you a picture on a blueprint that looked like this. I could draw you one that looked like this. I could draw you one that looked like this. But with the new 3 dimensions, if you could work all 3 dimensions together, I can vector and askew this. I can move this around where you can see every facet of it as I'm vectoring and askewing. So the mathematical iteration between one vector and the second vector and the third vector, tremendous amount of mathematics. So you'd have to have a computer to be able, the brain would not be able to function at that level to be able to track an incoming missile at 17,000 miles per hour and you're flying at 500 miles per hour and all the calculation, oh, it's pretty intense. So, yeah, the tool was much needed for the future. The Star Wars, as the President of the United States envisioned, possibly a war coming from over there, and we was ready for it. Yeah, Huntsville is 60 miles from me. We go to Madison, which is up there in that direction. We go to a Chinese restaurant we really like to eat. I know one thing. We used to travel a lot for the company, and they told us, they said, as soon as you get to the motel room, they used to keep us in some nice places, but I don't care how nice the place is, the humans are like pigs. The humans, they pick their nose and they pick up the remote control and push the buttons and be little bit of splattering of that mucus is still on the buttons, and they got pneumonia, everything, everything, whatever comes out of the nose. And so they gave us a sheet of paper, the things to do. First of all, put flip flops on. Never get in the shower without flip flops. Make sure that you take and scrub down your remote control. Anything where their hands are touched. This is so that we could do our job without being sick out on the. We was never sick. We stayed in some ungodly places and never got sick because we always did what they told us. And that top cover, when you go into the motel room, you pull that top cover off because a lot of people come out of the shower and the bed has not been folded out yet, and they sit on that top cover, or they might even waller on that top cover. Who knows what they do on that top cover? The thing to do is take that top cover off and toss it over out of the way. Get rid of that disease-riddled piece of crap. uh, yeah, we had to. Yeah, we travel a lot. One time they sent us from Seattle to Huntsville, Alabama, but we had to fly to Los Angeles because we was picking up a part of the crew in Los Angeles, and we was in a 727 Boeing 727, and we were sitting in the very back. All of the laboring group that went down to Huntsville was all sitting in the back, and so we started rolling down the runway there at Los Angeles, and you could hear the tires going bump, 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 getting faster and faster. You hear the engines all spooled up really good. I'm looking over to my right. There's an engine right there next to where I'm sitting, screaming, and then one above my head, and all of a sudden there was an explosion. Boom! I go, whoa, what the hell? And then the smoke was coming out of the ceiling, and all kinds of looked like debris dripping out of the ceiling, and then you could feel him putting the brakes on, and then you see the thrust reversers coming on. The old plane is shaking and rattling, and we sat there for a few minutes. Everybody went, "Wow, I wonder what's that all about." Then he finally come on and he says, "We lost the." They're in the jet engine. They had these like spark plugs, but they're igniters. They call them, and they're constantly sending out an arc to keep the fuel when they're during what they call the military stage of the engine, where it's up running maximum power. They keep them running. I don't know all they are to be known about that. I just know that that's what happened. The exciter went out, so I had to tow us back to the airport, change out the exciters, and we spooled that thing up again and flew to Huntsville, Alabama. Everybody kind of held their breath. What's next? We were coming back from Huntsville, Alabama, and we're up there at 34,000 foot. And the guy said, "We got a wall of supercells over the Idaho by the between the Rocky Mountains and the Cascade Range. There's a big front, and we can't fly over it. It's over 60,000 feet, so we're going to go under it." So he drops the nose over, and we start flying under it. Just as we got over at Pocatello, lightning struck us. Well, I mean, all the lights on the plane goes out. Everybody's muttering to themselves. Then we hear all kinds of whirling and whizzing and all kinds of noise back in the back. And then finally we see a little row of lights in the middle of the cockpit, all the way down, not cockpit, the cabin area. We seen all those lights coming on. And as we're looking from the back where we're sitting all the way up to the front, we see smoke in the cabin. Oh, there was like 150 of us aboard that airplane, and that smoke was just, we could see smoke. Oh, we go, hell, we're on fire. And we'd already got down to about 19,000 feet. You know, you ain't going to survive a 19,000 foot fall anyhow. But we were down lower when the lightning struck us. And so we were all up there. They was doing a lot more muttering, and some was praying and all that kind of stuff up in the front up there. And you could hear all that stuff going on up there. And you begin to go, well, it might be the time that I maybe should be talking to my creator. And then the voice comes on, you know, not the big heavenly voice, but the captain. He says, oh, you might see a little smoke there in the cabin area, but that's not smoke, it's condensation. We lost pressurization, and we had to start our APU and engine up in the back, and it's pressurizing the cabin now, and it's like seeing your fog in your breath, and everything's okay. It was okay because I'm still here. It's going to be a good one. If you got to send me a notification, make sure I get a notification so I can watch your video, Angel Face. Um, yeah, I like to watch video. I do a lot of video watching, and when I go over there, even when I'm on my Harley, we'll stop somewhere, and I'll bring this up right here on the phone, and I'll watch YouTube people that I really like. I go and watch their videos, so I keep up on most of everything that's going on. Oh yeah, we've had some scares. We was flying in British Columbia. We was up there. We had just crossed over the Canadian Rockies, and we were going to Williams Lake up in British Columbia. There's a big government compound up there. The Canadians were in cahoots with us. We were doing a project called Sky Fire. The Sky Fire project is where we come over Newfoundland, Labrador probably, and we dumped out this iron oxide powder, very high military grade iron oxide. I mean, it's very fine, been processed in a lab, and we dumped it out from Labrador all the way to Vancouver, British Columbia. And then it ignited because when we dropped it, we dropped it in what's called low Earth orbit, and it began to light up. And what it did is it lit all of that, but we created an artificial aurora. Aurora borealis was created by man. And we're sitting down in Provo, Utah. We sent signals into that artificial aurora that was developed by this iron oxide powder that we put in. We dumped it out as it come back in the Earth's atmosphere, and it lit up, and it started lighting up around Vancouver, and the tail of it went all the way back to Labrador and left the most beautiful streak in the sky of fire. But anyhow, as we was going over there in the Williams Lake area, we had to have a remote location for that. We had an issue with our aircraft, and pretty close. Could have been bad, but it wasn't because I'm still here. I've had the engine to quit, completely shut down, nothing but air going by, going in the darkness of night. You can't see nothing. All you can hear is the wind getting steadily faster. And then the engine started back up, and we go, oh, good. No, you can look it up on the. We did that Sky Fire in the 80s. See, you can look it up on Discovery. Look up Sky Fire. Well, a lot of it's got classified names, and I wouldn't even know what to call it. But it's when we created an artificial aurora. That was when we were starting to develop the thing called HARP. What we did with the HARP program, we beamed at microwave frequencies up into the clouds, and we did it with so much energy that we heated at 20,000 feet above Alaska. We heated a pocket of hot air, huge, huge. We heated the air up to high temperature. And what happens there is heat rises, and when it did, it started pulling cold air. And we did this for a long, long period of time, and was able to successfully move the jet stream. It altered the flow, the jet stream, which historically has been that way. It changes periodically over the last few 100,000 years. It's changed a few times, but we found that we can manipulate the jet stream, and we did it for a military purpose, not to make life better for you and I. Well, I guess if it protects us, maybe it is so, But if we can control other people in other countries, that gives us a leg up on them. Oh, they said it was when they told us the story, why they was developing HARP, it was to some kind of scientific data that they was going after. But it had a really beautiful sound to it. But the powers to be found that they could also manipulate it and use it for other reasons. That's the reason they had to disband it. Even kind and gentle things such as GMO. How much do you know about GMO? Genetically modified, GMO genetically engineered food. That almost was a disaster for the world. Genetically to alter potatoes so that we could get a strain of potatoes that would grow in the Alps or in the Andes or other high climate, or even in the dry arid climates areas like Saudi Arabia. So if we could figure out the DNA where the potato didn't need as much water, or if you could figure out how you could genetically alter, maybe it would fight disease within itself, like cut worms and stuff it can get into potatoes. And so we started genetically modifying potatoes and corn. And then when they started with the corn, now see, potatoes growing in the ground. When we got to the corn, genetically modified. Right now today, it's hard to find non-genetically modified corn. Well, what happens there when the tassel on the corn comes out, it puts the spores out, and wind carries the spores. And when they modified the DNA of the corn, they used like halibut or fish or various other DNAs. The spores from the corn killed the indigenous grasses. All down in Mexico, there's a grass. They call it masa. It's a wild grass that, they, instead of corn, it's masa, and they make, they use it for cornmeal. And but the indigenous grasses was basically killed off by genetically modified corn. And then they had to take another look at it. They had opened Pandora's box. You start altering Mother Nature, and you start stepping in and playing the role of God and creating these new foods, better living through chemistry. You see what happened? We got people that's crazy now that used to not be as crazy. Well, you can't use the word crazy. They acted irrational. No, I wouldn't. I'm a patriot, man. I would never tell you something that you ain't supposed to know. Why would I do that? I'm not an old wandering fool. My mind just rambling along and spewing out stuff. My tales are calculated to give you suspense. I don't know anything. They could come and drag me out of the house and take me to a secret location and stick electrical prods to my testes or whatever. I couldn't tell them anything because I don't know anything. I could tell them a story. I'd bore them to death. Yeah, we used to go to Williams Lake. We had various places we'd like to go to a lot. Williams is one of the nicest place. I don't know if I think Angie's place, she knows where Williams Lake is. Um, if you ever get the opportunity to go, if you love the wilderness where you can be in a canoe and be out there on a quiet evening, maybe do a little bit of trout fishing and have a moose to come right up to you. I mean, come out and swim with the baby right next to it, a calf. Swim out there. Then we're talking about water. It's 150, 200 foot deep. And that old moose, you just go right on across and go over there in the shallow water and start eating grass off the bottom. She'll reach her head down there and she'll pull that head up. There'd be big clumps of grass and stuff that she mowed off the bottom and chewed off the bottom. I got pictures. I took pictures of the moose that come to visit while we're out there. And you wouldn't want them tip you over. I mean, that water is freezing. Williams Lake, all that water up there is cold, deep, cold water. Yeah, we went Kamaloop. Kamaloops are a big fish, up to 50 pounds in size. They're like a gigantic trout, like a steelhead. A steelhead is a trout that goes out to sea. And when it comes back, it's now a steelhead. It goes out for 3 years out in the ocean and comes back, catch these big steelhead fish. Great eating. Well, we look like we were wearing everybody out. And I think I'm going to get off here at 6. I'll stay on here till 6. The reason being is that's 7 o'clock on the East Coast time, and they'd probably be wanting to start their coffee show out. I want to get off before they get that started, so I don't interfere with the coffee. Coffee. I believe that's how they say it. Coffee. So I'll stick in here for another 20 minutes, and then I'll shut it down because it's been good chatting with you folks and letting you know how the weather is. And I got so many calls last night. This phone was staying busy, but I couldn't talk on the phone because it wouldn't stay on. Anytime there's a lot of wind, I'm so far away from any of the cell towers that we just barely. If I can turn this on, I'll show you the signal I got here. I think I can do this right up there in the top. I ain't never going to be able to focus it, I don't think. Maybe I'm too close. Yeah, right up there in the top, there's only one bar lit. That's all I ever get. Sometimes I'll get two. No, can't do it. Damn it. You can see there, nah, can't do it. This is too small. Yeah, I only have one bar this morning on AT&T, but that's all I had last night during the storm was one bar. And that's all you need for talking on the telephone. But if you're going to do a video, like a live feed or something like that, it takes just a whole lot more energy. The phone needs broader bandwidth to be able to handle that. Well, the problem being is this YouTube. It'd be nice if somehow you could speak. And so y'all wouldn't have to do all the work, all the typing. I can just sit here and just talk and talk and talk, but y'all got to do all the typing, and I am really bad at that. Now, Angelique, she can take her thumbs and she does that thing, all that kind of stuff. I don't. I have to do it this way, one digit at a time. I used to have a teletype machine. I had two of them at one time. Teletype was what to call the machine was called a green machine, and it was built by the Boeing Aircraft Company for the Boeing Aircraft Company, and we'd send. It worked at RTTY speed. RTTY is RTTY, radio teletype speed, which is 45 baud rate. 45 baud rate was your 45.45 baud rate was maximum speed that RTTY could run at. And we used to take and we'd have to type up all these TSOs that you send to the Pentagon. And then you'd hit send. And what would happen is, let's say they didn't want us to send TSO because of the time difference. It was 3 hours from Seattle to Washington, D.C. So when we typed, we had a plastic roll, a roll of very thin plastic, and the little puncher would punch out the holes in the data tape. And the data tape, you would spool it up, and exactly at whatever time they would tell us to transmit at, we had hit send, and that tape would start rolling, and the keys would be just chattering away all by itself. It's like a player piano, and it would send us data out to the Pentagon at 45 baud rate on a secure. That was secured back in those days. It was encrypted, so if you set the letter A, it wasn't A on the keyboard. It was whatever the encryption was at that time, and you didn't have no control over that. They would send you the encryption, and sometimes they would send the data out, the encrypted data out, and the machine would analyze the data, and you had programmers that would come in and set your machine up to be able to operate at that encryption level. And it was kind of interesting. It's called the green machine, green key machine. And when you say you do like maybe a 2 hour transmission, I have 2 hours of TSOs at 45 baud rate. You'd start sending it, and after about an hour and 15 minutes, you see smoke coming up, smoke, because this thing are constantly doing this. And all the machinery in there, it has what they call a self-oiler. You got these little cups and you fill them full of this machine oil, and it feeds all the little places where oil needs to go. Well, that oil gets hot and begins to get off a little smoke. And you get a room of 10 or 12 of these green key machines running at one time, teletypes, and you can see the blue haze of smoke over the machines from the smoke coming off the keys. We had paper and plastic. Paper, they call it Chad when it knocked the little holes in there, but the plastic was a permanent record. Paper would get old and brittle. The plastic has a long lifetime, so um, they would send us a data tape down, and we'd put it on the machine, and then we'd read back what the data would be brought in by truck, and we'd put it on the machine and play it back and get our morning briefing about what we're going to be doing today. That was back during the Cold War, where everything was really secretively, everything was done in a certain manner. Favorite saying at that time was loose lips will sink ships. Only 3 hardcore people still left in here, so. And I appreciate the 3 hardcore dedicated souls that spend a little bit of time with Old Mack before the Sunday morning coffee show starts. Now, you guys want to stick around because when they kick off the coffee show, I don't know if I believe they're still in Florida. I know Sick is still in Florida. That's where you live, so we'll get maybe a wrap up from Florida. I should have asked Ray this morning if he was still in Florida or did he ride on back last night, load his bike up and come home. I wish I had a guitar. I'd play you a song. Oh, I tried. I don't know how to play the guitar. That won't work either. I used to keep my trumpet right over there, but I put it away. It's a big air horn. It's electric horn that's really long. It's about that long. It's got a big trumpet on the end of it. Oh, you got to take pride in anything you do, Angel Face. If it gives you satisfaction at the end of it, that's all that counts. Because you can't please everybody. But if you're pleased with your production, there used to be a saying that we had back during the days of mass production of ICBMs, the 5 P's of production. The 5 P's of production: Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Remember that, folks. And anything you do, if you're going to do a home video, prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Practice that in your life, no matter whatever it is, and you ain't gonna be too far off. Put a little planning in it and make it happen. I used to love to go to British Columbia, Rivers Inlet. I used to go to a ham fest where the Canadian ham operators would get together. And I can't seem like it was east of Vancouver. The town that we went to was east of Vancouver. Big turnout. I love going up there. Well, I was hoping my sisters would come in but they went to bed, I guess. I don't blame them. They should. I'm going to have today for breakfast scrambled eggs, sugar cured ham, peach preserves, hash browns. And I am hungry already. Yeah, I got those, got a really good ham. Not Smithfield, but it was one out of Virginia. It's a Virginia cured ham. We bought it at, I believe, the Piggly Wiggly, or that's where we usually buy them. And golly, it was good. Oh, hey, Dave. Yeah, we're gonna sign her off at 6 in 10 more minutes. You remember you saw me one time when I rode my bike to the Piggly Wiggly. Angelique went in and did the shopping, and I stayed out there. I stayed out there and run the camera and did my show or whatever I was doing. I think I did a live feed or something from over there. I know I did a video maybe from there when I was at the Piggly Wiggly. You know, I got Miss Piggy up on the front wheel, front fender of my Harley. Yeah, I got Miss Piggy. Well, I was happy to see you come back there, Dave. Well, you got to get ready for the coffee show. It'll be kicking off here. It won't be long. Uh, I haven't seen Virginia Bomb, Motor Bomb Virginia or Sick. Now, Ray Gregory, he was in here this morning. And you've been in here. Angel Face and Diane Breed. We had Robin. He was in here, of course. Just been telling them some stories there, Dave, of the old days. Oh, about plane crashes or almost crashes, plane hit with lightning, motors blowing up on the airplanes while we was taking off. The middle engine on the 727 blew up. It didn't blow up. It had a backfire, which caused the igniters went out. And then when the igniter came back on, the combustion areas filled full of vaporized JP4. Poof, the big explosion. Backfire. I think they call it a compressor stall. I believe that was the name they used, but it's because the igniters had failed on the engine. And they get washed down. Too much fuel, put the igniter out. Shorted out. Yeah. These guys that can create that stuff, Dave, can you imagine? Well, you got to keep in mind now, that was a topic of conversation in 1960, 59, 60. In that period of time, we were living under. Remember, Khrushchev, he said he would bury us. He came over and pounded his shoe and threatened us, kill all of us, kill all of us. What they used to call us, capitalist pigs, they're going to kill all of us. And, you come to my country and talking about killing me, it makes you rile up a little bit. And so that movie right there, that was everybody in the world watched Khrushchev do that. And so that inspired somebody to make a movie of such. It was really at that period of time. I saw it when it was brand new, and so what was amazing to me that how they did it. They did it in black and white because that's how bleak it was. Yeah, Day After Tomorrow. Yeah, and then there've been a couple others. They showed actually a nuclear bomb going off in Washington D.C. What was that thing? White House down or something like that. Some dreaded scenarios like that. That is a possibility. Yeah, I mean it'd be life changing. I am not kidding you. Because my dogs I put in the ground, not all of them are still there, but what they replaced them with is even better than what I did. I was an old generation. They got new generation stuff now. They can kill you better. It's better, a much better killing machine. Everything we built and developed back in them days would just kill you better. You stayed deader longer. No zombies. We don't do zombies. Thank you very much for watching it. I recommended it because we're living in that period of time when that subject is so prevalent in our minds. For those that lived during those 60s, 70s, and 80s, where that was on our mind all the time, now we've got it once again back where that word is tossed around a lot. I'll nuke you. I'll nuke you more, but I can nuke you bigger. My button is bigger than yours. I can push that button quicker than you can. I've already pushed it. You should be hearing the boom in about 3 minutes. Oh, yeah. See, the sad part about it is to check the yield, you've got to have something that you can kill. We had in the 50s, we had these wonderful Indians called the Eskimos, the Inuit people that lived in really northern, up in the above, they're not Alaskan Eskimos, but Eskimos up in the territories, Canadian territories, Yukon, up in Alaska as well. Boy, the Inuit Indians. And our government used to put pellets in their necks, radium pellets, and we told them we was treating them for the flu or the cold or whatever, but these radium pellets it allowed us to draw blood from them to see how the radiation would affect the human body. The live people that we used was Inuit Indians, indigenous people, the Eskimo. We did this in the name of righteousness so that we could better protect our own people. And so those people, did a lot of tears get shed about the Aboriginal people being killed? Hell no. That's right. They were just nothing but something to be tested. You remember the churches told back during the pioneering days to kill an Indian was not a sin because they were heathens. They had rebelled against God and they was heathens. And you can kill heathens without any worry about consequences. They were just heathens. Yeah. Nobody cared back in the day. Nobody cared about the Eskimo. See, they was way up there. Nobody even heard from them. They didn't have no telephone. They didn't have no cell phones. They didn't have nothing. And they found out about it. That was in the 50s, and that went on all the way to 1961. And people, oh no, yes. Just look it up. You can look all this stuff is all on, you can look it up. Nobody cared. They're just damn Eskimos, Oh, sure, God created them, but he knew that man was going to need those Eskimos for test guinea pigs, and you folks down in Australia are going to need them Aboriginal people because how else are you going to tell if your weapon works good or not? And we ridicule other countries. You remember a lot of the tests and things are done by the Nazi Germany and those concentration camps, and we condemned that. A lot of things that went on in the old during the Stalin days of Russia, we condemned that. But it's ironic today we can do the very same thing, and that's for the betterment of all mankind. All you got to do is convince the people it's for your own good, and you can do almost anything. Yeah, there was a lot of. Thank God we've always had comedy to make up for some of the dreaded things that was brought to us through the movie manufacturing companies. They can make some horrible stuff, whatever comes out. Oh, I tell you, the guy, what's his name? Hardest name for me to remember. What's his name? He did Django. That guy. Some of his movies. I like me some Burt Lancaster. Quentin Tarantino. That's a tongue twister for me. Quentin Tarantino. Some of his stuff. I'm telling you, buddy, he thinks out of the box. Russ Craven, of course. There's so many. There's wow. Look at Olson Wells. You remember was Olson the War of the Worlds. That had the whole world scared when that thing came out. Everybody was scared to death. That aliens had attacked. Jackie Brown. I don't know if I've seen Jackie Brown. What's it about? What's Jackie Brown about? Yeah, War of the Worlds. That right there, it had people scared to death. Okay, let me. I tell you, when I say okay, and sometimes I really mean okay, but if I don't write it down, I will forget it. I'm gonna put it right here. I got it now. Oh yeah, I had my head right up in the screen there. I tell you that Django. I mean, I just. Oh, look at Mel Brooks. I will look at Blazing Saddles. That movie for a comedy, it couldn't have got any better. I mean, there were so many great stars in that Blazing Saddles. You know, just it was. See, we was raised up during the cowboy days when cowboys were our heroes. The movies and stuff that we watched. Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and all the great Western stars. You know, Bob Steele. Oh, there was just so many great Western stars. And then comes out later this movie, Django. Uh, it, Blazing Saddle. I should have said that was the one when Blazing Saddle when it came out there. Um, we wasn't exactly ready for it, but it was a wild experience. I am a movie junkie. I do watch a lot of movies. I had an uncle. I loved him with such. He was my favorite uncle, Uncle Cleo. And Uncle Cleo was a movie fanatic, and he would take us to the Alabama Theater in Birmingham as little boys. He had three sons, and the younger one was my age, and he's the younger one. He is now gone too. All three of them are gone. I'm the only one left. Hey, Angel Face, I'm glad you're back. He would take us to the Birmingham Theater, and we'd see all those great movies, and he enjoyed it as much. He enjoyed bringing happiness to us, you know, to watch our favorite cowboy heroes and all that stuff. And he was a great uncle. Well, did you get some more of your project done, Angel Face? She's working on a movie. She's going to release a video here soon, and she wants to get it all together. Oh, good, good. Everybody was missing you the other night. They said, "Where's Angel Face?" And they said, and most of them said, "Oh, I haven't heard from her yet, but she'll show up." Well, take care, Angel Face, and I promised a while ago that I would leave. See, it's 7 o'clock on the East Coast time. Um, I guess it'd be a good time to go ahead and pass the baton on to the other guys. Dave, I want to thank you very much for coming over. I want to thank you very much for coming and visit with me for a little while, and maybe I'll catch you over on the coffee show. if my signal goes out or whatever and I can't make it on, we'll make sure to let them know that we're live and well. And if I intend to get on and let them know that we are live and well. I came on hoping my sisters would be on here so they know that we survived, because they left all kinds of messages for me. And anyhow, let me thank each and every one of you for being of Old Mack here for 3 hours and 25 minutes. And we will thank you very much, Dave, and I appreciate you at least giving it a shot. And I know you'd be honest with me. It's really dated. Look at what, 45 years ago, 50 years ago. Yeah, 50 years ago. But it really was on everybody's mind, and it just like, oh my. When we walked out of the building, everybody was quiet. There wasn't nobody going, oh man, that was a good one. Everybody went home and they thought about it for quite a while, like, oh hell, that could happen. Yeah, we went through a little phase there. So it didn't have near as much impact on you today as it did us 50 years ago. Oh, Gregory Peck, I did too. He's got such a talent. Oh, I was trying to think, who was it? And Elmer Gantry. You remember the movie, the evangelist preacher that was like a rubber-tired deacon, Elmer Gantry. He went from town to town, putting his little tent revival up, shaking down the people, the rubes. Maybe that's where I might have got my idea from the rubber-tired deacons. I can't remember. I think it was Burt Lancaster, was it? That was an Elmer Gantry, but it was a fire and brimstone show, and he gave it his very best. And we lived during that period of time when we'd have a tent revival to come to our town, and they'd stick things on the outside of the post office that the tent revival is going to be here in a few days. Yeah, the Grand Wizard of the Rubber Tired Deacons. Yeah, soon coming to your town. I hope you're ready for us. God bless each and every one of you. Good morning. See some of you over on the coffee show if we have a signal. And I'll say hasta la vista, baby.